Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I'm Evandro Magalhães, for those of you who haven't seen my face yet. And it's a pleasure to have you here. So this is the first workshop of 2019. This year, I don't know how many of those workshops I'll be able to do because things are getting very hectic in my day job in Kudu. So as much as I love to conduct these sessions, I'm getting very busy, which is a good thing, I guess. But whenever possible, I'll try to offer those things again. So we're here today to talk about something slightly different. Those of you who've been here in the past attended a slightly different seminar where I spoke about how to boost your career, and I gave you a few tips and some advice on how to flag your availability, make yourself known to your customers, avoid a few mistakes that we tend to make without realizing, and that get in the way of your getting more work and more money, basically having more prosperity. So that first part we're not going to cover today. This is actually an in-depth look at the second part of that webinar that I never got to look at closely, because every time we spend a lot of time talking about the your career and so on, and when it comes to the social media, I kind of fly over it and I glance over some of the stuff. So this is pretty much the same content presented in a slightly from a slightly different angle, but also going a bit deeper, if you will, right? So, but the content is not going to be totally novel or totally new to those of you who've already been here. So there will be some repetition, okay? So let me invite you to go now to your presentation tab. So basically, if you go upper left corner on your screen and click on presentation, you're going to see my slide deck, okay? I have my phone here on the side to make sure this is going as planned, okay? Because now when I'm looking at my slide, I lose track of the platform because I don't have a secondary screen today. So from time to time, I'm going to be pausing here, going back to the platform to ask you guys questions and so on. And if there are questions, you can always send me a message through chat. So whenever I come back here, I'll check the chat message box to see if we're all good. So before we start, are there any questions, any concerns? Are we good? Can everybody hear me? Is there anybody who's experiencing any sound issues or image issues or anything? If so, speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say in church. All good. Excellent. Excellent. Ksenia, excellent. All good. Let me ask you, when you use the messaging box, try to send your messages to participants as opposed to operators. Actually, if you send it to operators, I'm the only one who sees it. If you send it to participants, everybody sees it, right? So the choice is yours, basically, okay? Ekaterina, Allison, so Veronica, so everybody seems to be okay. So let's dive right in. Okay. Excellent. So I've titled this Personal Branding for Translators and Interpreters. And this time I'm including the translators as well, because most of the strategies that we're going to cover here, they are as good for translators as they are for interpreters. As a matter of fact, they are good for anyone who's trying to get noticed online, right? Who's trying to get attention and who's hopefully trying to use social media for professional purposes, okay? So let's move on. I've created this hashtag, so hashtag 1NT, which is the symbol for interpretation online booster. So hashtag 1NT booster. So feel free to tweet about this if you feel strongly about the content or if you want to replicate part of the content and the things we're talking about. And I will later go back to my social media and replicate that as well. So this is part of the exercise already that we're going to be doing. So for those of you who don't know me, I have been a conference interpreter for 30 years. And if you look at the picture you see on the upper right quadrant here, that guy with a lot of hair and 20 kilo less squeezed between these two gentlemen here who are exchanging gifts. That's actually me. I know it's hard to believe, but that's me. Anyway, this is back in 1992. This was 17th of March of 1992. I worked at the lower House of Representatives, or the Parliament, so the House of Representatives in Brasilia as a clerk. And because I could speak English on that day, they realized that they had a dignitary coming to visit, the Speaker of the House, the guy in white suit, or light suit, Mr. Ibsen Pinheiro. And I was asked to mediate this question just because they had failed to make plans to actually have an interpreter there. The gentleman sitting to my right, most of you, I guess, would recognize, is Prince Philip from England. The Duke of Edinburgh, as they call him. And he was on a mission with the WWF and decided to stop by just to say hello. This was a 20-minute meeting, very easygoing, so just chit-chat. And so this is how my career as an interpreter actually started. I had zero training. I had never done this. I was scared to my bones. I was trying to dodge that bullet to the best of my ability, but my boss insisted that I be there. When the prince came in and with everybody into the room, we realized that he had brought his own staff, including an interpreter. And I breathed a sigh of relief, and I wanted to again move away from the chair, but my boss insisted that I do it, and I did. So I basically was thrown in the water, and for some reason I swam. It was a very easy conversation, as I said. But that day I was bit by the bug of interpreting, and it became something that I started dreaming about, and I wanted very much to do this. So this is how I became an interpreter. Zero training, zero education. It was only, 15 years later that I actually went to college, the Monterey Institute, to actually complete a degree and get a master's in conference interpretation. I later moved on to be freelance. I had an agency in Brasilia for 17 years, and one of the largest in Brazil. And after Monterey, I transited to Washington, D.C., started working for State Department, the IMF, and several other institutions and so on. I stayed there for about 3 years and eventually landed a job with a United Nations agency in Geneva called ITU, International Telecommunication Union, for which I was the chief interpreter for about 7 years. And since the last 2 years, I'm back in New York as vice president of Kudo. Kudo is this funny platform that you're using, which, among other things, does what we call remote interpretation, right? Very good. So that's me. That's out of the way. So let's now talk about you, which is what matters, right? So whenever I talk to clients and I tell them that I have perhaps a couple of pieces of advice that I could share with them to help them get get ahead in their careers. First question I hear is this: how do I find clients? How do I get more clients? Right? And the notion here implied in the question is that you can cold call them, you can go knocking from door to door and so on, which is a misconception. You can't move into a new neighborhood and then go from door to door, knocking on people's door and say, "Hi, my name is Evandro. I'm a conference interpreter. So do you have any multilingual need that I can mediate?" Right? It doesn't work like that, right? So basically, you don't find your clients. They find you, right? And your job is not to forcefully go and get them. Your job is to make yourself attractive so they discover you and they come to you. The trick is that, whenever they see and then they search for, say, an interpreter or a translator and so on, they're not specifically searching for you. So they're probably going to run or bump into a number of different profiles. If they're doing the search online, they will enter a few keywords and they will get a number of results back, and they will start going to those results and checking your credentials, checking to see how you come across. To what extent can they really, based on the information you provide, trust you and be convinced that you are the best option, that you are going to do an excellent job, right? So the way to attract clients, basically to find clients, trying to answer your question as it's posed, is to become more attractive. So you have to find a way to becoming the subject of attention by those who have a need for your services already. You don't know where they are, and they are trying to locate you. So become attractive. Once they come to you, your second job is to impress them well enough to actually justify their going with you as opposed to someone else. So first thing they're going to do is they're going to look at your profile and compare it to someone else's. And yours has to stand out in comparison sufficiently for them to be enticed to actually go with you instead. So if you manage to have them make that extra step and they decide to give you their vote of confidence, and you have now your first opportunity to create a good impression, you then have to go above and beyond what they're asking you, and you have to spoil them. You have to wow them. You have to make it such that next time they don't do a search again. They go straight to you because of the quality of the work you provided, because of the quality of how you served them, because of how you treated them, because of the whole package that we call quality, which goes way beyond just being a good linguist, right? And then repeat that cycle. So once you find out, how to get there, it's just a matter of doing it well enough and frequently enough and keep the same results coming, right? And you refine things as you go. So basically you become attractive, you impress them, you spoil them, and then you try to repeat the cycle, okay? Now, the way to do it in a consistent manner, in a manner that keeps the cycle active for a long period of time, is to always show more or less the same face, or at least show a face that works, that creates the results that you want, and refine it in time to make it even better or keep it the way it is, keep it consistent. So I'm going to be covering now on this slide a few tenets of what good branding is. And this goes for online as well as offline, right? So these are some principles that apply to how you should present yourself in order to be perceived as someone who is trustworthy, who is reliable, and someone they want to do business with. So number one is be consistent, right? Very often you will see that some people will show a very professional face on one social media, and they will be all about business, and they are in a business attire. They have an endearing photo. They have a nice background that shows professionalism and so on. And they will be careful with their language. Everything is perfect. But if they also decide to check you out on Facebook, let's say they looked at you at LinkedIn and they loved it, but they now say, okay, let me look this person up on Facebook. If they go to Facebook and find you rolling on the grass with your dogs, and you're very politically vocal, and they start to see a different side of you that doesn't really match the idea that they have in mind after having seen you on LinkedIn, it starts to create some cognitive dissonance in their minds, and they start to have second thoughts. So be consistent means show more or less the same branding. You don't go to one supermarket and find a Coca-Cola bottle with a red and white, or whatever the color is, label, and then go to another convenience store, across the street and find it in green. Although I have seen Coca-Cola with green labels, this is not a good example, but you get the notion, right? You don't see a logo for a big company except Google that changes the logo every day, changing very often. So they want you to look at that and recognize immediately, even if you can't read, that this is McDonald's, that this is Coca-Cola, that this is whatever brand it is, right? So try to keep more or less the same elements in everything you do. So if you show a picture of you wearing one specific coat or one specific tie and so on. Try to use variations of that picture if you want to be creative, but don't go, sleeveless, and then you come with an overcoat, and then in one picture you have a hat and the background is different and your name is different and the tagline is totally different and so on. Oh, because I also happen to like cars, so I'm going to include here something about racing cars or whatever. Avoid that. Try to create a consistent, reliable and predictable professional image that your clients will grow accustomed to. Okay, so keep more or less the same banner, keep the same images, keep the same tone in your language. Don't be formal on one social media and totally slangy in a different social media, right? So this is number one. Number two is social media is very dynamic, right? It's a mistake to treat social media like a yellow page directory. Remember in the days when, those of you who are my age, where the internet was not around, you had this thing called the yellow pages, right? Which is a phone book where you go and you find, depending on the subject, you find the people you want to do business with and so on. But that's static. You sign a contract at the beginning of the year and your ad is going to look that particular way for the next 12 months. In the past, that worked because people didn't have any better ways of searching you. But now they want to see how active you are. How are you really active? Are you still alive? Are you still kicking? What have you been doing lately? How many clients that are similar to me have you catered to in the last 2-3 months and so on? So your presence, if I come to your website, if I come to your LinkedIn profile, if I come to your Facebook, whatever social media you use, and I see the same stuff over and over, I start to get the notion that, number one, you're not serious about what you do. Number two, you don't have enough going on, otherwise you would be talking about it. So number three, you might not be the best option for me, right? So you have to keep it very dynamic. If you have a blog, you have to keep the blog posts coming. Don't do like me, because I don't have time, and leave the same blog post on your blog for 3-4 months. It's not a good thing. So I'm aware of that mistake. Only I'm not looking for jobs in that manner. So it doesn't hurt me as much as it would you if you're looking to actually establish your presence there as a professional. So be dynamic, change the images, have a Twitter feed in your website that shows movement. Be active on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever you use. Make sure you engage often, which is the next item on our list. Engaging means not just changing content to be static on your website or your social media for the next 2 weeks and then changing again. That's already good. But engaging also means interacting with the people who come and visit you, right? If somebody comes and says anything on your social media, reply. Make a significant comment, go and share somebody else's stuff. We're going to see all those strategies in a minute, right? So engage, interact. This is social media, and social is the key word here. You want to be, it's pretty much like being in a room full of people. You want to work the room. You want to go around. You want to make your presence felt, right? It's not just standing there. And always be positive, right? I have lost count of times, especially last year, with the situation being what it was in Brazil politically, with with the country divided in two different currents, politically speaking, pretty much like it was in the U.S. as well when Trump was running against Hillary. I've lost count of the times I've seen professionals engage in fiery discussions that very often devolve into name calling online. And people start to get passionate about a number of subjects and so on, and before they know, they've gone beyond the line and they've started using a kind of language, a kind of image, jokes and things that are not consistent with the image that they want to keep, right? So there are ways around that. Of course, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we don't want to to turn you into a robot that has no feelings, right? You want to be able to continue to also operate on that level. But don't mix the two. Don't mix your professional presence with what you have as, your core values, as anything that is significantly you on that level, because the result may work against you, right? And also number 4 or 5, don't alienate anybody. So if you don't like President Trump, or if you don't like Bolsonaro in Brazil, or if you don't like Macron, nobody needs to know that specifically. You don't have to make that known, and you shouldn't make that known, because all those politicians I quoted, they all need interpreters. And the second ranking officials that work for them will be the same, and the whole administration will be the same. And from there, it goes that half of the country might favor that kind of politician, which is the case in Brazil now. And you don't want to be perceived as someone who until last week was throwing stones at those people, and now you're begging for work, right? It's not going to work. So try not to alienate anybody. Keep your opinions for yourself. The way I solve that problem, I'm very opinionated, but the way I solve that problem is, if you look for Evandro Magalhães anywhere, I don't think you're going to find anything too controversial. Although I did make a few mistakes last year because I got really involved in the political race in Brazil. But I don't think you're going to find anything too controversial, anything that would really come back and bite me in the behind. You might find a thing here and there. It's probably going to date back to a decade or so, but I don't think you're going to find anything major. If you go to LinkedIn, if you go to my public Facebook, if you go to Twitter even, because I keep all that noise to a Facebook account that is my personal Facebook profile that goes under a different name. It's called Evan Magellan, and it's open only to my friends. So it's just family and close friends. And if you go there, if you try to go to Evan Magellan, you won't be able to see a picture. You won't be able to see anything. It's very restricted, as opposed to anything else I do online. So if you go to my public Facebook page, you see everybody who's there. You see every picture. I'm totally open, all right? If you go to my public profile on LinkedIn, you see the whole list of everything I've done. No restraint there. But if you go to my personal stuff, unless you are a very close friend, you won't see anything. So that protects me in that manner and still allows me to vent whenever I need to do that, okay? So let me check on my phone here to see if any of you have anything, any burning questions or anything special to say. It looks like we're all good. Let me see who else. Ekaterina. Hello, just checking. Sorry. Okay. Excellent. So looks like we're good. So let's move on. Okay, branding 101, number 2. So a few more items, okay? Show a professional face. Okay, remember when I said you want to be perceived as the professional people want to interact with anywhere they look, and you want that face to be professional. Now, you have a human side too, right? What wrong is there in showing that you care for your dogs, right? Fine. You may want to show that human face. You may want to show that you stand for things that most people stand for that make you a good person, right? You don't want the whales to be killed. You don't want dogs to suffer unnecessarily. You don't want, you're against human trafficking. Those things that any good person would be in favor of, you can of course show that you have that side, and you should. But showing a human face doesn't mean that you have to open the doors to your house so people see you in underwear, right? So show a human face, but not an intimate face. Don't go and show pictures of you holding drinks, and whatever they are, because it may not sit well with a few of your clients, right? So don't show too many pictures of your partying. You can show, again, a picture of you at a cocktail following an event. Everybody can do that. But don't show, your pub night highlights, or things that would start to make people look at you with a judgmental eyes, right? So try to avoid that. Again, keep it for your personal stuff if you can, Make that something restricted if you can. And so don't do that. Also, as you show your face on social media, you're going to be challenged. The more visibility you get, the more people are going to start noticing you for good and for bad. So you're going to have a lot of people echoing what you say and providing you good feedback, but you're also going to have a lot of haters. They are everywhere. Anything you do will attract some naysayers, will attract some haters. We all already deal with that on some level, and it's only going to increase as you move up the ladder in terms of visibility on social media. So be very wary of it going in, and don't react to trolls and don't react to provocations and so on. Just let them go, right? My advice is that you never engage someone who's trying to negatively impact you, right? Very often people will come and they will attack you because they don't like something you said. So instead of saying, I strongly disagree with the ridiculous point of view you have, they're going to say you're ridiculous, right? And then you feel personally offended and you want, it's again, human nature, and you want to retaliate and you want to, before you know, you're in a fight that is not deserving of your attention or your time. And people who are your clients and they start looking at that and seeing that might see a different side of you that they're not happy with. They don't want that. It's noise, right? It's besides the point. They don't want to see that. So be careful. Don't give negativity any airtime, okay? And mind the 80-20 ratio. This is very important. As much as you want to do promotion online and you want to talk about yourself and look at me, how good I am, I'm the interpreter to President such and such, oh, I've translated the Harry Potter books or whatever and so on. You have to find a way of saying those things while privileging the people you're talking to. So you have to find a way of making everything you do online about other people. So 80% of everything you do online should be about your colleagues, your clients, your booth mates, the people who find your work, the agencies that create opportunities for you, and the quality of the events, the organizers, the AV people, if you're doing an event, or the fact that somebody provided you with excellent working conditions as a translator, provided you with materials and documents and whatnot. So I'll show specific examples of how to do it and how not to do it, because it goes 10 times farther if you do it that way. Because if people see that you're promoting them, they will immediately promote you because they want more of that coming that way, okay? So keep that in mind, 80-20 ratio. I'm not good at that. Again, I'm not the perfect example. I do a lot of self-promotion on social media because of these courses and so on and so forth. But I try to always privilege the people who come work with me, who entrust me with their attention and so on. So I try to do a little bit of that too. Right. So let me stop here for a second and go back to the platform. And now I want to suggest something here. Irina, there are several slides. You should be able to see all of them. Do you guys see the slides as they flip through? Please somebody tell me here, because Irina is telling me that she's stuck on the first slide. Can you see all the slides? Okay, Irina sees it as well. Okay, excellent. So if that happens again, Irina, if for some reason you don't see the other slides, you can always download the presentation and follow along as we go from your own computer. It's a PDF file, okay? Excellent participants here. Good. So let me do something interesting here. This is a nifty feature in Kudo as well. So I've started a poll. So if you look on your side menu bar now, you have a red dot where it says polls. Please go and click on polls. Go to polls, and you're going to see a question. Click on the question. And the question is, what social media, SM stands for social media, what social media platform do you mostly use? And you have 4 options there. Choose your option, and that's for work, okay? What's the platform that you use mostly to talk about your professional services or to interact with your clients or whatever. I'm not talking about keeping in touch with your friends and colleagues. Okay? So choose your option, submit your vote. Okay? I'm going to give you another second to finalize this. Okay, going in 1, going in 2, going in 3. So I'm going to end the vote now, end the poll. And I'm going to publish the results. Great. So if you go back to polls now, you should have something under poll results. Okay. Under poll results, you're going to see great results. Instagram, 1 person. Facebook, 1 person. 10 people on LinkedIn, nobody on Twitter, right? 12 people. We have at least 3 of you who didn't vote. We have 15 people on the call. So I'll try to allow you more time next time. Okay. So excellent. You can also, just to show you the feature in Kudo, if you click on the graphic icons you see, the pie chart and the bar chart, you will see those results graphically. I really like that feature. So you have it in pie chart and you have it in bar chart. Okay. So great predominance here of LinkedIn. Okay. Excellent. Let me do another survey. Okay. While we are at it. Question here. Xenia, I can't see the poll results or charts. Try again, Xenia. Click out. Go to polls again. Go to poll results. And tell me if you can see it now. Are you on a cell phone or on a computer? It's just blank. Are you on a Google Chrome? Oh, Mac. Are you on Safari? No. Chrome. Should work. Should work. So that's a bug. If you can see it, something is wrong. Anybody having that problem? Anybody else? Okay. So let me interpret the results for you. Xenia. 12 people voted. 10 people said they are on LinkedIn most of the time. 1 person Facebook, 1 person Instagram. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Sorry about this mishap. This flaw, but it's, I take note. Okay. So Allison, you can see the results on the phone, right? Because I see it on mine. Okay. Results. Show. Yeah, I see it on mine. Okay, let's carry on. If you click if you're on the phone, you go to polls and then there's a tab for results. Okay. Okay. Another poll. I'm going to start it now. So it's a different question this time. How often are you on social media? Okay. You already have the poll has been started. You can go there and vote. I'm going to vote to submit. Okay. I'm going to give you another second and I'm closing this. Okay. And poll. That was probably too fast again. Publish results. So you should have the second set of results now. And 8 people said that they are at it daily. 2 of you do it weekly. So again, less people voted than we have attendees on the call. Okay. Many of you are doing this very regularly. Okay, great, Xenia. I'm happy you see the results now. Excellent. Sorry about that. Hiccup. Okay, very good. So good. This is going in the right direction. This is a good group. So you are already working daily pretty much on this. Who is not should start doing it. And most of you are on LinkedIn. And that's a good segue into what I'm going to say next. So let me go back to my presentation, because LinkedIn is what I'm going to be mostly talking about. And you can extrapolate some of what I'm going to say about LinkedIn to the other social media, right? The principle is the same. Only LinkedIn is where you want to create most of your professional presence, because this is where everybody goes to check on you. Now, keep in mind, and these are some numbers for LinkedIn, right? 500 million users. Of course, this is growing by the day. 200 million, 250 million active every month, and large numbers in the US. So if you do business in English and in the US, you want to be there. And there's also a lot of countries who are heavy on LinkedIn. India is one of them. Brazil is another one. Several Spanish-speaking countries. So you want to be there. But of course, LinkedIn is not a directory, right? LinkedIn is, again, something that's supposed to be dynamic, as we discussed a minute ago. Now, the reason I was talking about LinkedIn specifically, as I said, is that many people will come here not just to look for you and do searches, right? Because this is a misconception. People think, oh, I never get people to call me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is BS. You see, I've been there for 10 years and I've had 3 or 4 people contact me. It doesn't mean that they're not checking your LinkedIn account. It means that they go to your website or somebody refers you offline or whatever, and they eventually contact you through a different medium, but they have been to your LinkedIn account, and your LinkedIn account might have played a major role in their decision to contact you. You see? So this is where they come and they look at the activity, they see how active and good you are, the referrals you have, the recommendations you have, and it builds the confidence they need to reach out to you and through different channels, right? So don't make the mistake of thinking that because you're not getting direct messages in LinkedIn, LinkedIn is not working for you. It is, and it should. Now, how to deal with LinkedIn, and this again goes for the other platforms as well. First thing you want to do is exactly what you're doing here today. Educate yourself about how to make the best use of those platforms, okay? And that includes spending time online learning about social media. There are several sources for that kind of learning, but you can actually, in LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn itself and watch a number of videos on personal branding, a number of sessions and trainings on the specifics of what we're covering here. Some of the information I'm sharing with you here, I learned exactly that way. Some of it I learned by doing. So if you are on LinkedIn, first advice I give you is become a premium user or a business user. I think now they call it premium user. Everybody is a bit mad at LinkedIn because it used to be like $30 and they doubled it. It's about 50 or $60 now. But go to your settings and change your account to LinkedIn Premium. It's well worth your money, right? Because it gives you a lot more visibility. It gives you, for example, everybody who comes to your profile, you know exactly who they are, as opposed to a public profile where you only get to see a few of them, okay? So go with a premium account, invest that money. And when you do that, you're going to have to the right of your interface, I think it's on the right upper corner, a little thing called Learning. Learning is a teaching, a training platform. And you click there and you have a wealth of courses and all sorts of information. There is a course I like very much called Personal Branding on Social Media, which is a 7-chapter kind of training with a woman presenting a series of videos and so on, telling you some of the stuff we're talking about here. How to determine where you should be, how to create that consistent appearance in your again, how to create one single front that people relate to, and so on and so forth, right? Number 2 is you want to be thorough. You want to be complete in your effort. So you want to give people the impression that you've done your homework, that you've worked on your profile, that you have proofread every word that's out there, that you have completed all the sections that are relevant to you, that you have people recommending you, that you have recommended other people. So you want your profile to be complete. In LinkedIn, they call that an all-star profile. And as you go, they're going to be showing you your progress towards an all-star profile. You can even go an extra step later and create a profile in a different language. So if you're a Russian professional, you can create your English thing. And when people go to you, they're going to have another tab, Russian, and you can have it also in Russian. It's double the work, though. Keep that in mind. So it may not be necessary. I don't have, for example, my profile in Portuguese. I've been thinking about that. But again, I'm not looking for work in Brazil. So for me, it's not that relevant. But if many of your clients don't speak English, and you know that for a fact, do create your profile in both languages, right? And then there's endorsements and recommendations. This is a big part of LinkedIn, right? Again, this is all part of keeping it dynamic, keeping it going, keeping it functioning the way it should be. So you want to endorse people that you know well and that you feel strongly about and who are good professionals in your fields and in other fields. These could be colleagues, fellow translators, fellow interpreters, but it could also be clients. It could be people you've worked for and that you're really appreciative of because of the conditions they created for you, whatever it is, right? You've done an event or you've completed a job for someone. You can go and they treated you really well. You can go online and say good stuff about them, good words about them. That becomes an endorsement or it becomes a recommendation. A recommendation is something bigger that they will probably have on their profile. And it creates an incredible good feeling when you receive an unexpected recommendation by someone who just interacted professionally with you. It's a wonderful feeling because you feel appreciated, you feel valued, and it was totally uncalled for. So it's a good surprise. So we're going to talk some more about that. Now, another big mistake that people make, and please, if you don't take anything from this workshop, please take this. When you present yourself, don't make the mistake of showing skills and not functions, or even showing functions and not performance. Right? Most of you will have as your tagline something that says such and such, translator and interpreter, or some superlatives there: excellent translator and interpreter, seasoned translator and certified interpreter, and court certified whatever interpreter, and so on. These are functions. It tells nobody how well you are performing the functions behind those skills. These are titles, right? These are titles. They are not skills. So it tells no one how good an interpreter you are. You're just saying that you're seasoned, that you've been out there for a long time. Maybe you're so jaded that you're now not preparing anymore, that you're not up to speed. You're so angry that the Brazilian legislation now imposes a different, a spelling reform or whatever, a revision of how you should write. And you see, it may convey the wrong impression. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you're out there, have been out there for 30 years, that you're the best person for the job. Maybe you're not tech savvy. Maybe you're not someone who is current on everything that's happening out there. So you got to show something other than just what you are. Saying that you are a translator and interpreter is a claim that another 100,000, maybe 1 million other translators and interpreters can make, right? But there's something special and specific to you that will be very important for your clients that only you can claim, or maybe a handful of people can claim, right? So there are different ways, again, of doing it. I'm going to show you examples after we cover the principles. I know this is getting a bit, starting to sound too much like a boring lecture. We're going to break that pattern in a bit, okay? Bear with me here for a second. And reach out to people, and not just ordinary people. Reach out to people whom you admire, people whom you would never meet in real life. But on social media, you can. If they are huge celebrities, they are not going to be manning their own social media stuff. They will have a team doing that. But still, you can communicate with them. But most people, up to a level where they have up to 1 million users, they're still doing it manually. They're still paying a lot of attention because they know it brings them business. They know it brings them prestige. So do reach out to everyone you interact with. Number one homework for you today is to make sure you leave the session with the names of all your colleagues. So I invite you to start using the chat now to send your details, your name, where you are, and your emails, for people to find you on LinkedIn and connect with you. I connected with all of you. All of you are on my LinkedIn network, in my LinkedIn network. Yesterday, I reached out to, I guess Allison was the last one. I don't know if you've already accepted my invitation, but I make a point of inviting everyone into my network that I do business with, that I interact with. I do this on a daily basis, right? And I've been growing my network extensively. The bigger, of course, your network, the bigger is your chance of being noticed and having the success you're looking for. So make sure you exchange those notes, that you know who your colleagues are, where they are, what they can do for you. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Later on, if you know a few of them here, like I know is the fact, for example, Mauro knows Jacob, Jacob knows Mauro personally, and so on. Go the extra step of recommending that person for one specific aspect that you know them to be good at, or endorsing them for something and so on. Engage, okay? And do the same thing for influencers. You will be surprised. You will be surprised to note how often they will get back to you and acknowledge your request. Okay. Okay, this is actually one of the influences that I'm going to talk about now, but I'm going to break it here now, and let's have our first Q&A. Okay, let's make it a bit more interactive now. So those of you who would like to ask a question or have a comment, now is the time. So let us spend another 5 to 10 minutes with some of the questions. Okay, so just click on the button that says request to speak if you want to speak. And I'm going to go ahead and clear you to speak. So I have Jacob lined up to speak here. So Jacob, go ahead. I'm clearing you to speak. Feel free to use your microphone and or your camera. It's your choice. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say that actually it's not in millions who are present on social media. I counted it about 200,000 language experts totally on social media.
1,000.
Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
And about 3,000 IEC members, and on LinkedIn, yeah, I don't know, but I did a research. There about 200,000 language experts.
Oh, okay, so this is the competition, you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, 3,000 IEC interpreters is pretty much everyone in IEC, right?
Yes.
I think IEC has exactly that number of members. Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
No, that was all. That's all.
Okay, great. Interesting. How did you go about finding that number? How did you do the research?
Actually, I'm curious because I was in contact with pros, and they only had translators, and they gave the numbers, and they started onboarding, sourcing interpreters as well on pros. So they had a new field of process, but they gave me the numbers.
Excellent. Yeah, you see, just curiosity. Pros, when this is back 18 years or so, I was driving through Syracuse, where they used to have their headquarters. I think they still have. And back in the day, they were operating on top of a liquor store. And they told me, oh, come to street such and such, because I wanted to pay them a visit. I was driving up and down the street. I couldn't find them because all I saw was a liquor store. There was no sign and nothing. And then I called them again and said, yeah, it's on top of the liquor store. Come over. It was a very interesting. And then the minute you go in, it was a huge place. I think it was some family property or whatever. And of course, now they're light years ahead. They're doing an excellent job. Excellent. Thank you, Jacob, for this interesting piece of information. But then again, 250,000 people is a lot of people if you're competing for attention in the middle of all that, right? Thank you very much. You can release your microphone now if you wish. Anybody else would like to feel shy? Don't be shy. You don't have to show your camera if you're not presentable. This is Saturday. Everybody understands. You don't have to activate your camera. Jacob, do you have the button where you click to release your mic? There you go. Excellent. Messages, anybody? Okay, I see that you already exchanging notes here. That's excellent, and so on. So should we continue? I don't have anybody else asking for the floor. So let's go to some more examples. Okay, I got somebody was here a minute ago, but there you go. Ekaterina, let me go to you, and then Mauro. Accept. Okay, so I've cleared you to speak. You can now turn on your mic and camera if you wish.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, it works. Great. I have a hello, everyone. Sorry.
Hello, hello.
I'm not turning on the camera. Thank you for making that possible.
Wonderful. Where are you talking from?
From Geneva.
Geneva. Well, my city for 7 years.
Yes, I know.
Excellent.
Well, my question is this. I don't know if you're planning to talk about it at some point, but I know that there are very different opinions on whether or not to share anything about your previous jobs or assignments on any of the social media. AIC people mostly say that you should never, ever, ever share anything about any of the jobs that you've done previously. But in many other markets, for example, I know in the Russian market, it's actually quite popular, and a lot of people, well, they don't show the documents, they may not show the badges, but they show where you are, the city you're in, but also sometimes the titles of the conferences, sometimes views from the booth, that kind of thing. So where do you stand on that?
Excellent question. I'm going to cover that, yes. This is a big part of what we're going to talk about. Question back to you. Are you an AIC interpreter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So that's going to be different for you based on that, right?
Yes, I know.
You don't want to get in trouble with AIC, right? So if you belong to a club or an association or a gathering, whatever it is, that tells you don't do that, because it's your decision to follow those rules or not, and I totally respect that, and I understand that fully. Now, the way I look at these things is, again, common sense, right? You don't go to a meeting invited by a colleague, and the minute you're outside of the booth, you start distributing your cards and telling, hey, you can come to me next time, I'll cut you a better deal. You don't do these things, right? Nobody has to tell you not to do it, right? You've seen a few people do it and they were blacklisted. Whatever happened to them, you don't want it to happen to you. It's the same about what you just asked me, right? There are different ways of doing it. There's the wrong way of doing it, which I'm going to show. And there's a very nice way of doing it. Just yesterday, I posted a picture, and I did a long post about this assignment I'm doing here for Rotary International as an interpreter. I quoted the organization, I quoted my boothmate, I quoted the AV company, I quoted everybody who was working with me, and it only created positive vibes, right? So it depends how you do it. The mistake people make, and this is, again, part of what we're going to be talking about, is they don't understand the 80-20 ratio. So they go online to talk about them. Me, me, me. Look how important I am because I am the interpreter to President such and such. I don't care about the President such and such. I want you to see me, right? The difference is if you go and say, what a pleasure it is to work for President such and such, he knows how to treat interpreters. What a pleasure it is to work for an organization that understands the working conditions that AIC has fought so far and so hard to establish. AIC's going to be happy about that. They are going to be happy about that. This is all reassurance for them. The fact that you are an interpreter doing this high-level event is secondary, is indirect. People get that notion without you having to tell them, right? So this is how nicely you can do it if you learn to do it right. The mistake you see is they quote the organization, they quote the people, they never tag them, but they tag themselves, right? And they have links to their websites and they have links to the articles they wrote and so on. And then it's all about them. Number one, it doesn't go as far because it doesn't get the traction it could otherwise when you tag other people. And number two, it gets a lot of people angry, right? Starting with your booth mates who start to criticize you for doing this and that and whatnot. Hold on that a little longer. We're going to have a few more chances to talk about that. Okay, but excellent question. You want to react to something I said right away? You can do that. Okay, Mauro, you left. Did you change your mind? As Ekaterina asked what you were going to ask. Okay, let me go to Mauro. Sorry, guys. Let me go to Mauro and then Ksenia, okay? Mauro, go ahead. You're clear to speak.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, two things. First of all, about the 250,000. Just to remind the colleagues, not all 250,000 have your precise combination of languages and your precise fields of specialty. So this 250,000 is a figure doesn't mean to scare us. Let's see how many people have exactly your combination, exactly your skills, exactly your professional domicile, and it will be a much smaller number. The second part, I was going to ask exactly the question that the lady from Russia asked. So that's answered. I'll release my mic.
Excellent, Mauro. Thank you very much. We can all go to sleep today. Okay, we're not going to be panicking, thinking about 250,000 people. But it's very good. I'm happy you did that research, Jacob, because I've been wondering what the number is for a long time. Ksenia, you have the floor now. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Let me give you the floor again. There you go. Now you do. Ksenia, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. So I have a similar question in a way that Ekaterina already asked. A lot of my assignments here in the US are actually under the NDA. And the NDAs are pretty, descriptive that you are in no way to post it anywhere within the certain period of time. So how do I promote that?
Then you don't. Right?
Okay.
In that case, you can't. No.
Yeah. So I'm pretty limited in that sense.
Yeah. In that case, you can't. I remember one day, if you go to my website, and there's a section called Interpreter, right? And there's a section called, I guess, VIP list, because I wanted to give it a funny name, where I list the celebrities I've worked for. Because in our profession, the way you establish your prestige is by showing the hotshots you've interpreted for, which means nothing, right? The fact that you've worked for someone who is a celebrity doesn't make you a better interpreter than anybody else who was doing it for a school teacher. But because the market has that perception, we continue to use that. So you will see a picture of me, dead center, along with a number of other colleagues, coming out of a State Department meeting, and Obama is in the picture, right? Behind me a few rows, right? This was after, I guess, the nuclear summit or Pittsburgh summit back in 2010 or so, where after the press conference, they went to a different room. We did it remotely from the room we were in through monitors. And we were getting ready. The day was over. We were leaving. And as we were leaving, the dignitaries came, Obama and the British Prime Minister, whoever was there. They came our way, and Obama saw us and said, "Are you the translators?" As he said, "Are you the translators?" And we said, yes, I want to take a picture with you guys. And he came and shook everybody's hands and so on, and everybody took pictures. The State Department sent us that picture later. So the photographers, the State Department photographers were there. They captured the moment. They took the pictures and they mailed the pictures, copies of the pictures, to all the interpreters. Only along with the picture came 2 pages of disclaimers telling me how I could never make use of that picture anywhere, right? You're not supposed to have it on social media. You're not supposed to have it on your website. You're not supposed to do anything. The only thing, I actually called Patsy, the chief interpreter back then, to say, what can I make? What use can I make of this picture? And she said, well, you can frame it and have it on your wall and show it to your guests when they come to your home. Now Obama is no longer the president and so on. I don't work for State Department anymore. It's posted on my website. It's no big offense to them at this point. Nobody ever said anything. If they do, I'll remove it. So if you get those directions, don't do it. Of course, you're going to get in hot waters for no reason. But not every NDA will do that. And there's one way out, which is if you know the client well enough, in spite of the NDA, you can still contact their manager of communications and say, listen, I feel strongly about how well a job you did as far as treating interpreters. I've been planning to make a blog post about this. Here is the draft. Can you take a look and tell me if you're okay with it? And then you get an email back that comes with an authorization for you to use that piece. And then you have your back covered and you can do it, right? I just did it, for example, with Rotary. We're working on a success story of a major event that we did for Rotary. I cleared it with them first. I went and I showed the draft and the pictures and everything. And they're happy because it's only showing Rotary in a positive light. It's not just a piece bragging about me, right? Indirectly, it talks about Kudo, it talks about me, and everybody is happy at the end of the day. So these are some of the things to keep in mind. Okay, I hope I've answered your question, Xenia. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Otherwise, I'm going to go over my time allotment here. Thank you very much for the questions. So hopefully it's going to get a bit more exciting now because I'm going to be showing you some examples, right? So I spoke about, so I'm back on my slide deck, okay? So I spoke about influencers, okay? And this guy, for example, has about 1 million followers on LinkedIn. He is a writer for Inc. magazine, Forbes magazine, and so on. He is a ghostwriter to many celebrities and so on. But he's someone I've followed for a long time because he has a very creative way of using social media. I copy many of his strategies. He's an interesting guy, an open guy, someone very approachable and so on. I sent him a note once asking a question. I actually participated in one of the sessions like this that he promoted, and he was very personable. So I sent him a note at some point. He immediately added me to his thing. So try this guy. Send him a message today, now or later, saying, hi, Bruce, I'm taking a workshop with Evandro, who speaks very highly of you. And he suggested we start following you. So I've taken a look at your profile and good stuff you have there. So I would love to have you in my network. Leave it at that. Let's see how fast he replies, if he ever does, right? Now, I'm not contacting him, asking him, please clear my colleagues, okay? So let's see. It may work and it may not work, but usually it does, right? So again, just to go back to that notion of reach out to influencers. Nobody is out of reach, right? On social media in principle, right? So you can see that this guy is an influencer, meaning anything he posts will attract thousands of likes and thousands of comments and so on and so forth, okay? Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, and we're going to talk about these things down the road more specifically, but I want to move away from the bullet points. The reason I'm showing him here is because I want you to look at his tagline and summary, right? Mind you, he doesn't say Bruce Kazanov ghostwriter or Bruce Kazanov consultant, right? What he says is communicate in an uplifting and imparting manner. Party, Park City think tank is his organization, right? So his already suggesting he can help you communicate better. And yet when you look at the summary, what it says is, it doesn't say, I am a proficient writer. I am a prolific writer. I am never make a spelling mistake. No, he's saying, clients come to me for this and this and that. I help them in this and this and that manner. I empower them, right? At our think tank, we serve a wide range of, it's about the marketing. It's about, hey, here's what thanks for coming. Here's what I can do for you, okay? So it would be for you the equivalent of clients like the British Parliament or whatever, come to me for reliable multilingual communications, written translations or whatever, and so on. And you quote examples of what you do, and you say what you are ready to do for them. It's totally different from saying, Evandro Magalhães, conference interpreter. Now, unless you have something that adds prestige to you in your niche. So if you go to my thing, you're going to see that I quote Ted Otter, a former chief interpreter in the United Nations. and things that are titles that are in a way going contrary to what I'm saying here. But these are claims that not everyone can make. So I use that to my advantage because it elevates me in the mind of some to believing that I can do more for them automatically, right? As a result of how I'm presenting myself. Now, keep that in mind. Here is Ri Iramatsu. Some of you might know her, a lovely colleague in the Japanese booth. She's been to several of these workshops with me. I've also been on one-on-one sessions with her. The reason I bring up her profile is because she's doing many things right. And there's one thing she's not doing right. Take a look. It's a beautiful picture of her. It's a beautiful banner where she's interpreting for someone that in Japan people would recognize. A good list of credentials here and a good summary, at least the part of the summary that you can see. Government agencies such as this and this and this. Conference organized, hire me to interpret during international conferences. Media clients like BBC and so on do this and this and that. So it's all good stuff. The thing I don't totally like, and we had a conversation about this the other day, and she's working on this, is the tagline, conference interpreting, Japanese and English. WIPO accredited, media interpreter, voiceover professional. This is a claim many people can make. And they're not as good as Ria. They haven't worked as hard on social media as she has. So with a little tweak of this, she's going to come across immediately better. She will be a lot more inviting for people to come and join her. So this is something of utmost importance. So the tagline should be concise, and it should be something that tells people immediately what you can do for them. The same is true about your summary. Okay, don't make the mistake of just listing functions and things you've done in the past. Responsible for accounts at Procter & Gamble. It tells people nothing. It tells people that, okay, Procter & Gamble entrusted you with a job, so you might be someone, but maybe you left Procter & Gamble because you were not good with the accounts. Who knows? Mariana Serio is a translator in Argentina. She's a very young translator. And if you go to her profile, you will see that the English sometimes is a bit off. So she could have done a better job of proofreading some of her stuff. But she is absolutely brilliant, especially considering her age. And I don't know her. I ran into her by chance. But now I promote her profile in every workshop I do because I find it brilliant how she does it. I invite you to go later and check all of those profiles more closely. And you will see that in Mariana's case, it's a good combination of a profile that is all about the client and a tagline that is a good combination of both. Spanish translator and localizer, so she's telling you what she is. She's specialized in websites and digital marketing, but then there's a marketing piece, helping your brand reach new markets, okay? And when you go into what she says, you will see that she does a good job, even in the language that's not her own, of getting you to want to call her, right? I can manage your projects from beginning to end. We will come up with a communication strategy together. Your message will resonate with all your clients, right? Another rule of thumb, on social media, for every I, you should use at least 3 U's. This is one way in which you can go about 80-20, right? So you can see here, there's very little I. It's you. Each company is different. That's why you get your own style guide and glossary as part of my services. We will achieve excellence together. I love everything she says here. And when there's a section where she says, okay, but why me, right? Then she presents some credentials and so on. And then she says, I've been helping clients from this and this and this and this, and then achieve their goals. So why me? Because I make you achieve your goals. It's not because I am special and beautiful and talented and so on. I'm all that, but my biggest talent is to make you look good, right? And all my clients are happy clients. I love that line. All my clients are happy clients, right? It immediately makes you want to call her. At least I felt that way, and I did, right? So I always have your back. Your business is my priority, and I'm always available to have a chat or phone conversation. So at the end of it, there are several call to actions. Call me now. Do a, sign in for a quote or whatever, and so on. So it does an immediate good job. If I go to two Spanish interpreters, and one is promising this, and the other one is saying conference interpreter, translator, a lot of experience, and so on, it's bland and it's boring. It might even be the case that that person is better than she is, but you will never know because I'll go with her. Now, let me talk about some of the stuff we've been discussing regarding how to use opportunities, right? It goes back to what you asked, Ekaterina and Mauro. Okay, how do I make use? Should I, number one, talk about the things I do and how do I do it, right? So here's an example of someone who's showing. This is an interpreter I know. She's been on my workshop. This is from the past. She is very active on social media, so this is a good point for her. And we have to give her credit for being very active and doing this regularly, right? And she always shows the assignments she's completed in a very positive light. But she misses many opportunities of making this go a lot farther, right? For example, you see, there's nothing here about the client that you can click, or there's nothing here that you see that makes the client feel special about having hired her, right? So my last day, this was a course on environmental crime. What a fantastic year, and so on. Thanks to all colleagues. When she says thanks to all colleagues, she could have quoted the colleagues or tagged those colleagues. And what that does is immediately it's going to put a flag on your little bell where you are obliged to say, okay, who's saying anything about me? And the minute you go there and you see that they're talking good about you, you give it a like. The minute you give it a like, everybody in your network will get the notification that Xenia likes it, Ekaterina likes it, which is more people looking at this. So it's the difference between having 300 views and 5,000 views, depending on how large your network is, right? So this is how you build your network and you call attention to what you're doing, right? So don't miss an opportunity to quote a number of people here. Instead of just saying that this was environmental crime, quote the name of the event if you have clearance to do that, and in a way that is something you can click and follow a link. It's tagged, right? You tag that person and you say a few words that are positive about them, okay? Another example from someone I don't know. I took part at such and such workshop among such stakeholders, reception, migrants, asylum seekers, and so on. This could be a longer post about the importance of this subject, how this association is dealing with the migration issue, how good a job they're doing, what are the number of initiatives they have, some of the initiatives they have. It is all about them. You make it all about them, but the picture is you interpreting for whoever that is. So immediately that gives everybody the notion, you want them to get that, hey, I'm active, I'm doing important stuff, I'm doing something that's relevant and is going to make the world look better. And everybody else has been tagged. Everybody else is now hearing this and they can replicate this. Yesterday, I posted this thing about my gig here at Rotary, and I tagged all of you. All of you this morning must have gotten a little number there on your bell saying Evandro mentioned you in a comment, didn't you? Didn't you go there and see the post? Maybe you haven't done it yet because it's early in the morning, but you will. You will see the post, you will see what I'm talking about and so on. And if you feel strongly about this, or at least indifferent, it's nothing to write home about, but at least there's nothing that drives you away, you're going to give it a like or make a comment, right? And this is how you build traction, right? This is the post I just did. This is the one you're going to see. So first off, it's a nice picture. It was someone else who took the picture, and my head is floating here mid-air. I found it very nice. So I like the picture, and this is the post I wrote. So you will see that the post doesn't talk about me much. It doesn't say, hey, I am the hotshot interpreter and they had to hire me. No, it says that I'm back in San Diego with Rotary International. I never worked for more appreciative speakers. And it is true. They never end a session without saying, I'm amazed at the job the interpreters are doing. Thank you so much. Without you, we couldn't communicate. This goes a long way about making us want to work for that client again. But it makes Rotary International, who's already seen this, the communication department of Rotary, feel special about you. So here's someone who comes and he's a team player. He wants us to look good, and he's number one, enjoys working for us and makes us stand out from the crowd in a positive light, right? I also quote specifically my booth mate because I loved the way she provided support to me. She's a staff interpreter in Rotary, and she's had my back for the first 2 days. Lots of acronyms I didn't know, lots of things and so on. Before I could even think about them, they were already on a sheet of paper in front of me. So kudos to her. And this is the person who invited me to do the job, Carolina. She's taken this workshop as well. So thank you for the invitation. She's going to replicate this further. And Andrew is the guy from Conference Rental who's doing the equipment, who's providing the equipment, excellent equipment. The name of the company is here. Kudo is even here because it's a sister company to Conference Rental. So out of this, I have immediately at least 10 people who are going to be getting notifications, hearing a positive thing about what I've done, and sending it further. They're going to send it on to some other people. They're going to thank me. When they do a like, everybody in their network is going to become aware of this, and this goes on and so on and so forth. So last I checked yesterday, in less than 24 hours, this had already attained 5,000 views, impressions, right? And hundreds of likes and some very meaningful comments. Now, if you go back to the original post, you will see also that there is not one comment to which I have not replied. So if you say, bravo, I say, well, thank you very much, such and such, or I'm glad you liked it, and so on. And this is how you keep coming back to a post that's becoming old, right? In 3-4 days from now, you still have people coming, and every time you do a like, you bring it back alive, and people in that network are going to see it, and then they're going to move forward on that basis. Now, you will also notice, if you go to the post itself, that in the comments below, I have tagged an incredible amount of people, starting with the officials in Rotary that I interacted with, that made me feel good. And going forward, all the interpreters on the team, because I also want them to feel good about Rotary. I also want them to replicate this in their network. So I used 2 comments to tag an incredible amount of people, include their names. The way you tag people is by entering the @ sign, and you start to type their names, and LinkedIn is going to suggest. You click, and on you go. So you start tagging people. They're going to see that you did what you did. I didn't check today after I tagged a bunch more people, so this is probably going to have attracted maybe another 2,000 views in the last few hours, although today is a weekend, so maybe less. Now, recommendations, right? I want to talk specifically about that. This is, again, another example of something that is very important in social media. It's a concept that I want you to write down. I call it give first. Everybody wants to be noticed, but nobody wants to reach out and note other people, right? So the way you attract attention and positive attention is by going the extra mile first and giving people what they need to hear first. So give first. If you like someone, if you like anything about anybody that they have done here or there and so on, reach out and send them an unexpected note of appreciation, right? This number here, you see, these are my recommendations, the ones that I publish, right? I change them from time to time, otherwise they become too old. I've received 32 in the recent past, but I've given 50. So this number has to be at least twice this one. So I have to actually be more active here, right? And make your recommendations meaningful, something people will have pride in showing in their profiles, right? So this is what you want to do, okay? So don't underestimate the power of recommendations. If you go now to your profile and all you have is 3 people recommending you, bad, and you've only recommended 1 person, even worse. So you should have at least have recommended 20 people, and out of those 20, you will have at least 10 recommending you back. So every day, recommend someone. Every week, at least. Do a nice, thoughtful recommendation of someone. It goes a long way. The day you receive an unexpected recommendation, you will notice how well it makes you feel. Okay, so a recap of what I just showed you, okay? Educate yourself, all-star profile, the endorsements and recommendations, showing skills and how functions, reaching out to important people. And now, the most interesting part. So these are what I call LinkedIn hacks, right? So we've covered the principles, we've covered the basics. Now I'm going to show you a few tricks that you can do, especially on LinkedIn, but it goes for other networks as well, to increase your reach. Okay, before I go there, any questions? Does anybody have anything that they are dying to say? If so, tell me now. If not, we'll go on. And then we're going to break again. My time is almost running up. Do you guys have more time? So we have 5 minutes to go. It's going to take at least another 15. Right? I'm free to stay here another 30 minutes, although I see some movement in the room as well. It's going to get noisy. Right? So let me know. Okay, messages. LinkedIn Pro is $60 per month. Yes, it is. A lot of money. It's well worth your money. Trust me on that one. So LinkedIn hacks, okay? What are they? Okay. My good friend Elena Langton took this workshop, and even before she did, she already had a very good LinkedIn profile, good presence, and so on. She's a Portuguese interpreter in Boston. And she has a nice profile, nice summary. I love it. She could work again on her tagline, but the profile summary is really good. The first word is your words delivered. You spend time crafting a message, and I help you reach a broader audience. So it's very good and competent. One hack, however, that she's not giving attention to is this. As you start to read this, this is that part of the profile that you see when you first come to her. You see that it ends abruptly here, icons, and you don't know what else is there. You have to click show more. People are lazy. People want the easy button. They want to see everything they need to see, and they will only click if you've given them enough. So work your profile in such a manner that this part here that you see without clicking anywhere, the little excerpt of what you see, is already a self-contained idea. Okay, let me show you how. In my own profile, I create a suspense here. So I say, I lend my voice to this and that. I tell stories and so on. I try to summarize what I do. It's me. And it's not a good example, right? Because again, I'm not looking for work. But then I say, and here are, I have logged so many days. Here are some highlights. At this point, if you're not interested, you move on. If you're interested, if I have caught your attention, you click to see more. And here, something else. The little excerpt that you see is going to see this long for the computer version, but on the cell phone, it's just 2 lines, 3 lines at most. So you also have to do the summary and check again on the cell phone to make sure that on the cell phone, it's also going to see something that comes here and ends here, right? You see, Elena's doesn't. Your words delivered, I help you reach a bra, doesn't give you a full idea. Mariana's does. Are you communicating your brand message to all your clients? And it's uppercase. And in mine, it ends somewhere that makes sense too. I lend my voice to world leaders, pop singers, and professionals like you. At least it's a self-contained idea, okay? So you have to do it many times. Enter, check, but this is how you do it, okay? Now, more LinkedIn hacks. When you do a post, these are very specific things you should write down and try next time you do a post. When you do a post, if the post is sending people outside, LinkedIn doesn't like it. So if you do a post like I did yesterday about the scores, hey, last chance to join, and so on, and a link to an Eventbrite website where somebody else is going to make money, LinkedIn, the algorithm, doesn't give it the same visibility. So it's not going to get the same traction. One way around it is you create the tag, the post, with the text that you want there, and you add a picture. You don't add the link, and you hit post. You have it go online, and you immediately come back and edit it. Now LinkedIn has already understood that this post number such and such is good. It's not promoting anybody else. So fine, I'm going to give it all, all the visibility it requires. Now you come back and you edit the post, and you come to the end of it and you enter the link that is relevant. Here's where you can sign up, and you enter the link. At that point, LinkedIn has already been fooled. It doesn't know that you're sending people outside. It's already treating your thing as an organic thing that they are happy to replicate. This is again the difference between having 300 to having 5,000 views. The thing I did yesterday, with all the traction I usually get, gave me 300 views for the course because it had the link there. I didn't bother do it that way, right? Something else you can do is enter the links in the comments. So you make the post, hit post. You haven't done anything. It's just a picture and language. Now you are the first one to come and you make a comment to your own post that says, by the way, here's where you can sign up, and so on and so forth, and here's the link. And in the text, you say, to sign up, please look for the first comment below. I've shared the link in the comments. And by the way, like that comment so more people can see it. And this is going to, again, fool LinkedIn in a way that's going to give you more thing. Also, avoid automatic previews. If you're doing video, don't go to YouTube and get your video there and just bring the link here and reference the link. It's going to work beautiful, but it's not going to get enough attention. You would be a lot better downloading that video to your computer and uploading it as an organic video in LinkedIn. Okay, it's going to get you a lot more views. And again, tag contacts for views. The example I gave you, if you go back to that post of mine, you're going to see that 2 of those comments are just names of people I have tagged, where they're going to see this. And every time one of them likes it, all their network is going to see it, and more people are going to replicate it. And this is how you attract second-tier, third-tier people who are not yet in your network and who start seeing you, right? Also, I said that before, reply to every comment. So when you do a post and so on, don't leave any post unattended. People want the attention. They want to look as if they are really important to you, even if they aren't. Unless it's a troll and a negative thing, do reply to all in every one of those posts and those comments out there. If you go back to that post, you will see that there's a lot of Evandro reacting to all of those things that you see there. If I haven't replied yet, it's because I haven't seen it yet. Right? Also, I invite you to do articles. If you are good in writing, if you like writing, if you do long form posts, you may want to turn some of those posts into articles. Articles you immediately make you stand out as an authoritative voice in your field. It makes you not just someone who's sharing information, news, but someone who's sharing information, someone who has something of value to say. So if you, on occasion, have a blog post that people like and so on, turn that into a LinkedIn article, have it done as an article. So when you go to publish, instead of making it just an update, you make it an article, and then promote your article. When you promote the article, one thing you want to do is, you see this thing I've included here, tips at LinkedIn posts? Do a tweet about that or Facebook about that and include this, right? Include this also in your tag on LinkedIn, because this is how you tag the editors of LinkedIn posts. And LinkedIn posts is the organic newsletter, if you will, daily thing in LinkedIn, where people are scanning the horizon for good content. And they are showing that content in channels. One of the channels could be language. Another channel could be something else. So if LinkedIn posts distinguishes you in that manner, you will see your view count jump from 20, 30 to 2,000-3,000, sometimes 50,000, depending on how well people relate to what you're talking about. So always include this as a function to actually promote your stuff online, okay? So, folks, it's getting really noisy here, so I hope you can still make sense of what I'm saying. We have another 10 minutes to go, perhaps. Let's see. So, homework for you, okay? So you start putting all of this into practice, okay? I want you to go back 3 months and flex those social media muscles now. So I want you to go back and review the 3 months, the last 3 months in terms of events you've done, clients you've worked with, booth mates that you can remember, colleagues with whom you shared a project, and so on. And I want you to do these 3 things. I want you to appreciate someone who's not expecting you to appreciate them. I want you to think of a booth mate or a client or whatever and send them a note of appreciation. It could be a message, or it could be a recommendation. It could be even an email. It could be anything. Make it very specific, very thoughtful, something that denotes and lets them see that you really spent time crafting this message in a nice manner, that you really feel good about them. Do that and see the result. Also, praise someone publicly in social media. So in addition to just sending them a note of appreciation, find someone else, or it could be the same person, and write a post about them. Like the mention I made to my colleague here, you could make a full post about that, how she helped you in the booth that day, how good it was when you received a glossary from another colleague, and so on and so forth, or how pleasantly surprised you were at the accommodations that your client provided you with, like indeed I am here in this wonderful hotel where I am. Do that publicly. This is a post, nothing about you. You're out of it and you're just talking about them and how good they are and so on. They're going to send it all over the place, right? And also share a relevant piece of news of a client. I said for a client here, but it's of a client or potential client. Nothing where you participated, right? If anything, find something, find an occasion where you were not there. And you say, having worked for this client before, you can say that much. Having worked for this client before, I know, like there's a line in my post that says, Carolina, thank you for the invitation. I know what it takes to attain this level of organization. Go to an event or comment on a piece of translation that was not done by you, and say, it's incredible the attention this company and this person gives to good communication. It's beautiful to see how good this reads in Portuguese and in English and so on, whatever. Find something about the client that tells them that their PR strategy is right, that they're doing everything right, that you appreciate how they treat languages or interpreters or translators or anything under the sun, or a cause that they or feel strongly about, and then you do too. And share that, leave yourself totally out. And again, see what that does, okay? Do these 3 things. Now, I also want you, as I said, to reach out to all of your colleagues and to reach to your colleagues and recommend them and so on, and do everything that we discuss here. So take this opportunity to know the colleagues who are here with you. You've been on this journey together, so take the most out of it, okay? I'm going to open for questions in 2 minutes flat. Before I do that, I want to share something with you. And this is something called the 4 Agreements. This is a book basically by Miguel Ruiz, whom I think is Mexican, if I'm not the book here if you want. But it's basically the notion that we all should make those 4 commitments, those 4 agreements. I show them here because in a way it encapsulates most of what we've been talking about here. When I do the Boost Your Career workshop, it's even more relevant because it goes back to some specific things that I talk about there. But many of what you see, many of the things you see here are and will be very specific and very important when you go online. Like, for example, be impeccable with your word. This translates if I were to paraphrase it into, don't alienate anyone, don't react to a troll, don't give negativity any airtime. Speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip, and so on. So go in the direction of truth and love. Right? So this is more like a chicken soup for the soul kind of approach. It may have been overused, but these are timeless truths. So take a look at this. You can download it. I've uploaded it as an image. You can find it easy online as well. And try to apply some of these things. Like, for example, number 3, don't make assumptions. This is big, for example, for translators and interpreters. When you get a cancellation, for example, first thing that comes to your mind is, have I done something wrong? And many people go the extra step of even emailing the person to say, what have I done wrong? And why are you canceling me? And so on and so forth. Don't make those assumptions, right? And again, say what you want and so on, but don't make the assumption that people are dumping you for reasons that are perhaps just on your mind and in the way else. So this is just an extra bonus for you to keep. So, folks, that's pretty much what I had in mind for you today. So I've stopped sharing my slides now. And we're back for 5, 10, 15 minutes of Q&A. So I'm all ears now, and I'm ready to answer your questions. So if you have anything to say, please click on request list, and we'll go from there. Okay, let me see if I have messages here. Okay, I did, and I thought it was nice of you to do so. I'm not following some of the conversations here. Okay. Original content to attract subscribers. Does it really help to blog and share interpreting resources? Okay, so I have a few questions here. While you guys get ready, do click on that button, request to speak, and we can already start lining you up. It would be good to have some voice interaction as well. So how much time should we be spending on marketing every week? So whatever time you have, but make it consistent. So work on it every day. So I have a 15-minute slot in my day where I dedicate to nothing but social media. I do a lot more than that because I have the notifications on my phone. So I'm on the subway riding home, and I will do it. I'm always on it. But at least if I don't do anything else, like on a day like this, Saturday, I'm going to do sightseeing. I'm not working today. I'm going to have those 15 minutes there, give people the attention they need, and so on. It is a lot of work. Doing social media right is work. You have to flex those muscles. You have to create the opportunities. You have to go after people. You have to be constantly changing your stuff. So do it daily. That's number 1. And spend as much time as you're comfortable with, right? Why is it important to have as many connections as possible? One could argue that one needs useful connections. How can you get more useful connections? Ekaterina is asking. I have 22, I guess, active connections on LinkedIn. What it only means is that when I click something, when I post something, more people see it. All my connections see it. When I had 5,000 people, the traction I got from my posts were less. It doesn't mean that everybody who sees it is a potential client and so on, but it increases the possibility of you getting in front of people. It's like going online, on TV. You have no control over who's watching your ads. You just mass promoting it in the hope that you're going to get enough people watching, and out of these many people, you will reach your targeted audience. I tend to go, of course, with people. If people reach for me and they are totally into sales, and I can see that they're real estate and so on, I never go with them because I know they're going to spam me in 5 minutes flat to try and sell me a condo, to try and sell me drugs and whatever. Drugs, I mean pharmaceutical drugs. So I do a little bit of sorting, but for the most part, I accept 90% of the people who reach out to me. And I every day reach out to at least 10 people. But you know, when you enter someone, you accept someone, and you have people you may know. I take a look And out of habit, I usually connect with 10 or so. I send no messages. I send nothing. Every now and again, someone says, why are you trying to connect with me? Can you tell me, please? I don't know you. I said, well, that's the whole principle behind LinkedIn, to actually get to know people you think you have things in common with that you don't know, right? And leave them free if they don't want to do it, right? Now, so I would advise you to grow your career. It's not going to be a totally well-vetted group of people. The more people you have, the more visibility you have. Keep in mind that people you think have nothing to do with you still might need your services. They also need translation. They need interpretation. They might have needs, or they might know someone who needs your services. Okay. And about the blog, Ekaterina, I have a blog because I like to write. It's a lot of work. If you want to keep a blog active, you have to really work at it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. You have to be creative. You have to have content out that is good quality. It's nothing worse than having a blog that is just for self-promotion, and you go there and there's nothing you like. It's all about promoting the person. So if you like writing, if you have a story to tell, if you are in the habit of engaging people that way, by all means do it. It's a beautiful way of connecting. But be mindful of the time it's going to cost you, okay? So I have Irina lined up here to speak. So Irina, I'm going to give you the floor. Please go ahead and ask your questions. Thank you very much. Irina, you have to activate your microphone and camera. I think you went away. I don't know what happened. I don't see you, Irina. So let me release your mic, Irina. I'm going to go to Iraida. Or Irauda. You have to tell me how to pronounce your name. Sorry. So I'm going to release your mic, Irina. Try again. Oh, you just got here. Okay. I see you now. Go ahead, Irina. Activate your microphone and your camera if you want. I see your thumbnail, but I don't hear you. Okay, I see that you left us. Let me go to Iraida. Iraida, what is happening? Okay, okay, there you go. Iraida, you have the floor. So activate your microphone and you're good to go. Microphone and camera. I have Irina asking for the floor again, so I'm going to come to you in a minute, Irina. Okay, Iraida? I see your thumbnail now. I don't yet hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I do. Excellent.
Oh, great.
Very
wonderful.
good.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just wondering, I've noticed that there are two packages, two premium offered by LinkedIn. Based on your experience, which package is more beneficial? The career package or the business package? Thank you. And I will take your answer offline.
Wonderful. Very good. Thank you, Iraida, very much. I would go with whatever costs you less to start with. If you're not doing anything, go with the plan that costs you less. It's going to offer you perhaps less options to start with, but it's going to get you, it's like a trial period for you to see how good it is, what it's bringing you, and so on, without committing too much money, right? In time, I would advise you to go to business, because it's going to, if you're really active at it, it's going to give you more bang for your dollar. So that's the one I have. Even with the spike where they doubled the price, I still do it at the business at the business level. So I would invite you to start small and then grow from there. Okay, Irina, let me clear you again. And Jacob, I'm coming to you next. Okay. There's a bug here. I have to click twice. Okay, there you go, Irina. You should be able, I see your thumbnail now. You should be able to activate your microphone now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Excellent.
Wow. Okay. Hey.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. And now I just wanted to explain my comment first of all. It was nice of you to tag us. I saw it in the morning, and I'm not very active. I'm not active in my LinkedIn profile. So it was very nice that someone has tagged me in a professional environment.
I see.
So thank you.
You see the effect, right? You
Yes,
were not expecting to read a post about Evandro going to Rotary, right? You didn't wake up to say, let me see what Evandro is doing, right? I don't expect anybody to do that, right? But I forced you to go there. Hey, take a look. And you say, okay, what the heck? What is this? And you see it. The minute you see it, there's something there that comes across as good or nice or useful. You might be tempted to say yes or like or enter a comment and so on. Now, talking about comments, when you enter a comment anywhere, make it significant. Don't just say cool, thanks, yes.
No.
Right? Okay. Make sure you give. Of course, I mean, if it's a lot of people just saying bravo, you say thank you. But if you're going to somebody's post where they shared something and so on, make it significant. Right? Make them feel special about what they've done. And this is how you create the interaction and the traction you want, right? Thank you, Irina, very much. Where are you?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
Can I? Yeah. Well, I would say 99% of my orders, interpretations, they come from the what it is in English, agency, intermediary agency. Yeah. So when I endorse the event. But obviously, I know the client. I mean, when I'm at place, when I'm interpreting, when I do this endorsement at LinkedIn, shall I endorse the agency for sort of giving me that order, or can I also endorse the actual client? Won't it be a conflict of interest? Won't my agency see it as some sort of my trying to get their client? Do you see my point?
Absolutely do.
Yes.
And it could well be. So this is a point I was going to make before closing. Be mindful of situations where you're not supposed to go to the client directly. For example, if it's a colleague calling you to do the job, you can go online and talk wonders about this colleague. Right? You can even mention the organizer, but you're not pampering them. You're pampering your colleague. You're saying, "Hey, Mauro Lando, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was good to see, especially because the cause is very dear to me, and it's wonderful to see the work Rotary is doing." That's all you say, right? So thank you. I would love to work with you again on any future opportunity, right? I don't think Mauro would see this as you're trying to bypass him, because the kind of trust you're showing implies that if that client contacts you, you're going to go back to Mauro and say, Mauro, that client, I think they saw my post, and please, again, I only got this job through you, right? Agencies, again, you need to know the agency. Some agencies will be okay with it. Some will definitely tell you not to do it, right?
Okay.
So, but again, if you make a post all about the agency, what you can do is make the post all about the agency. You can quote the event, but not tag the event. You don't tag the organizer, you quote it, but you tag the organizers, you tag the people behind the agency, and another way of doing it is let 3 or 4 months go by before you do it. So go back now 3 months and do it for something that doesn't feel like you're fishing for compliments or fishing for work. It's a genuine note of appreciation that anyone likes. It goes beyond, right? Anybody likes to be appreciated for something good they did. So as long as you don't do it in such a way that, hey, what's in it for me? No. They will appreciate it, and it will create a positive buzz. But be very mindful of things like Katerina mentioned. I think it was Katerina who mentioned the NDA and the fact that you don't want to step on a colleague's toes, and you don't want to go against specific rules, right?
I think it was Xenia, actually.
Xenia, who mentioned. But whenever these things are not there, feel free to do it using common sense, using an approach that doesn't get you on the wrong side of anyone. And of course, this is like conversation. If you try something and you realize this was a bad move, apologize, retract, go back, and this is totally human and normal. It's like me trying to tag you this morning, and one of you say, "Hey, I don't know you. Don't tag me next time," right? I will take note of it, and I won't tag you next time. Right? I learned the wrong way, perhaps.
Okay.
But this is how, I mean, this is how you try and get it wrong and get it right, right? Don't do anything malicious. Make sure you come across as not doing it for any bad reason. But again, this is how we interact. This is how we communicate. This is how, I mean, you know the limits of what you should say and not say if you're in conversation with people. You should apply the same principle to social media. Right?
Okay. Can I just make a very, very short comment?
Sure.
And then I'm up. As far as I understand, we have Ekaterina Shutova here.
Yes.
Yeah. Ekaterina, здравствуйте. Anyway.
She can't reply now because she's not.
Anyway, but what I want to say is because she's been, she's doing a great job. I'm following the Facebook page of the this St. Petersburg School of Conference Interpreting, and I think from the point of view of a user, of a follower, it's all very active, and it keeps you posted in all the activity, in conferences, in the events, both professional and when they have some, I don't know, Christmas celebration, whatever, at school. So I think she's doing a great job. This is what I want to say.
Excellent. This is beautiful. Yes. Now, a piece of advice, suggestion.
Yes.
The wonderful things you just said about Ekaterina were only heard by the 15 people in this room. Make a post about that. Write a LinkedIn post about how good a job Ekaterina is doing. You see, you're just echoing what you just said here, but it's something Ekaterina now can use and promote further and, send to her contacts and so on. And everybody's going to feel even happier about it. Her students, her, you, and everybody else. This is a textbook case of a situation where you want to share genuine appreciation to someone in a way that they can use and feel even better about you. You see?
Right. Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm done. Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I hope this has been useful to you.
Very useful. Yes. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much. So, Jacob, you're next. So let me clear you to speak. Okay. Irina, let me ask you to release your mic. There's a button where you can release the mic.
Just a moment.
Okay. I can do it here for you if you want. It's not the button where you cut the mic. One is mic on and off. So you can cut the mic. And there's another button to, there you go. Excellent. Hey, Jacob, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I would like to say thank you. I like that it was less slides and more matter or more talk.
Nice.
My question was, which other platforms do you recommend? I saw Ekaterina wrote something similar. Where should I have an updated profile, like Pros or ATA or Twitter? Which one? I know that Twitter is big among conference interpreters.
Excellent question. I don't talk about Twitter much because I don't see Twitter as a social media platform as such that you live in, right? I see Twitter as a conduit to other stuff. So if you have a blog post, you do a tweet about a blog post you did. I'd never concentrate my discussions in Twitter because Twitter is for fast consumption. Things don't stay long enough to create the buzz that you want them to create. You only see them for 1 or 2 days. It's good while you are in an event like this. I'm, enjoying this, and somebody just said that. It gives people the immediacy. It communicates the immediacy of what you're doing and how it tells people that you're there, then where the action is happening and so on. I use that for that or to feed my network from other stuff I'm doing. So I use Twitter to take people to LinkedIn. I use Twitter to take people to my articles, my interviews, things I've done elsewhere. I use that a lot. And it doesn't take much. Now, the key in Twitter, if you want to use Twitter, is you need to have a huge amount of people following you. Otherwise, it's not going to get any traction. So on a daily basis, you have to reach out to at least 60 people. and follow them. You follow from, if you follow 100 people, 30 are going to follow you back. And this is how it goes. In the beginning, you're going to follow a lot more than you have people following you. In time, it's going to change, and you're going to get more organic following. So LinkedIn is my number one choice. LinkedIn is where I live. I spend most of my time in LinkedIn. Facebook, I have maybe 800 people there, 1,000. I go there again just to keep them happy, but they don't see much. But again, I keep telling them to come back to LinkedIn, to come back to other things I've done online and whatnot. So I would recommend LinkedIn number one. That's
but national associations don't have any many visitors, like clients visiting the page. But your profile should be updated. But what about pros then, as an interpreter?
Pros I haven't used as an interpreter. I know they carry a lot of traction. I know Mauro Lando, who's here, uses pros extensively, gets a lot of job through pros, particularly in translation work. So I would advise you to be there. I don't see pros as a social media platform, though. I see pros as a marketplace, which is good to be in. And IEC and the other associations and so on, these are kinds of affiliations that add prestige to what you're doing. But again, these are not social media. They have their own intranet sometimes and so on, but it's not social media. Social media is showing the world. It's like going on TV. It's like going on a mass circulation newspaper and showing you who you are in the hopes of getting people who wouldn't otherwise be looking to notice, take note, and see you, right?
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much, very much, for joining us this morning. Irina is telling us here that she uses Prosy as well. I like those guys. I think they do a wonderful job, and they've created a good marketplace that gives results. So I'm all in favor of doing it. Hi, Linnea. I think I may not have been included in your LinkedIn tagging. Oh, that's unusual. Okay, I will do it right away, you see? So you can tell me what you thought about that post. Okay. So folks, unless you have more questions, I think we'll wrap it up. We've been talking for 2 hours. Mauro, there you go. Go ahead. You know, Mauro and I go back a long way. We started together back in 1992, I guess. Two rookies at a medical event in Salvador. Didn't have a clue what we were doing. Isn't that right, Mauro? Learning as we went, working for a maverick that didn't know any better. He would leave us in the booth for hours on end. We didn't know what we were doing.
Evandro, very quickly, I would be very fond of keeping a blog because, you know, I have my strong feelings about the environment. And so my question is, keeping a blog wouldn't go against a basic rule of, in our profession, of the lowest possible profile. Well, let's say if I were to keep a blog, it would be mostly about the environment. And a certain client that makes billions of dollars with transgenic corn would see my blog, gee, this isn't about the interpreter I want. A quick comment from you about this.
Again, it goes to my talking trash about Bolsonaro or Lula or Ciro or any politician in Brazil. I have strong views about that. I could write about that if it comes to a point where I feel I have to share my opinion. But it gets into the area where you will necessarily alienate some people. So if you want to become an environmentalist, environmental activist, you can, but know that it's coming with a cost to you as an interpreter. Right? Or you can create a different persona and publicize everything you do as a slightly different persona. In time, if you become, if you attain the visibility you would like to attain in either one of those, on either one of those fronts, it will start to to be a problem. So it depends on what you say, depends on the view you take. If you talk about these things from an impartial point of view, you can still be perceived as the voice of reason in a debate that needs to happen. But if you go and you start trashing Monsanto and you start trashing this and that company and so on because you're like an angry pacifist, as we see people out there, then of course people are going to have strong feelings about you, and that will bleed into your action as an interpreter.